Fussy eating isn't a phase, it's a warning sign. Behind every picker eater is a biological imbalance, whether it's gut issues, food intolerances, and nutrient deficiencies that shape your child's immunity, behavior, and well-being. The problem is most fussy eating strategies completely miss the root cause, which is why progress feels impossible. In today's episode, I'll show you how to uncover the real causes behind fussy eating and share proven strategies to help your child love food again. No bribes, no stress, just biology-based healing that works. Because like any health condition, whether it's eczema, asthma, or ADHD, we don't just want to manage it, we want to heal it. Then and only then does eating become joyous and stress-free. Does this sound familiar? You've made dinner with love. Your child walks in, spots a single green pea like it's a biohazard, and suddenly you're in full-blown negotiations that would impress the UN. Welcome to the world of fussy eating. It's brutal. And you're not alone. Research shows that 1 in 5 children are considered picky eaters. For toddlers, it's closer to 25 to 40%. And for some, it's become so extreme that it impacts their growth, mood, and even mental health. Over the last 10 years, through my coaching, courses, and membership, I've worked with thousands of families, many dealing with allergies, gut issues, and sensory sensitivities. And every single time, fussy eating shows up. For many of these kids, food made them sick or even landed them in hospital. Over time, anxiety, pressure around food became the norm. That's what drove me to dig deeper. Because when you address what's really driving fussy eating at the root cause level, and not just cover it with band-aid tips, the symptom finally disappears. So today we're cutting through the noise. I'll break down the 4 real causes of fussy eating, explain why kids crave highly refined white foods, and share my 4 simple strategies to help them rebuild trust with food. Because fussy eating doesn't start overnight. It starts in the gut. It's not that your child is being difficult. Their body is trying to tell you something. When we address what's happening inside, the gut imbalances, the nutrient deficiencies, and inflammation, everything begins to shift. I've seen it time and time again. Children who only ate 3 white foods and a year later are eating everything. So let's get clear about the real causes of fussy eating, because once you connect the dots, everything starts to make sense. Dr. Layla Mason, a consultant pediatrician who specializes in nutrition and environmental medicine for children, and someone I've learned a great deal from through her work, says there are 4 main causes of fussy eating. The first step, she says, is find the cause. Is it sensory, a gut issue, a food reaction, or a nutrient deficiency? Because once you identify which one it is, you can start to heal it and recover. So let's break these down one by one. The 4 main causes of fussy eating. So cause number 1, gut imbalances and microbiome disruption. We're starting with the gut, as always, because this is where so many fussy eating struggles actually begin. When the gut is balanced and thriving with beneficial bacteria, it sends calm, clear signals to the brain. I'm full, I feel good, I'm craving an apple. But when that balance tips after antibiotics or too much sugar or a steady diet of processed snacks, the unhelpful bugs start taking over. And they're bossy. These pathogens, whether they're parasites, yeast, or viruses, they thrive on simple carbs, sugar, and processed foods. And when they multiply, they literally hijack your child's brain, sending powerful cravings for more of the same foods. That's why, over time, your child's food choices shrink. They get smaller until all that's left are the white foods: pasta, toast, crackers, nuggets, and sweets. They're not being stubborn or defiant. Their gut bacteria are literally calling the shots. But here's the good news. You can absolutely turn this around. By feeding the right bugs, again, with real food, fiber, and home-cooked meals, you start to rebalance the microbiome. Every piece of fruit, every vegetable, every homemade meal helps those good bugs grow and thrive and multiply. And I know, of course, you've already been there and you're trying. So stay tuned, because later in this episode, I'll share exactly how my 4 strategies make that process easier and actually work for you long term. Okay, cause number 2, food sensitivities, allergies, and inflammation. The second major cause, and one that's so often overlooked by parents and medical professionals, is food sensitivities and intolerances. We all know about allergies. They're easy to spot. You get hives, swelling, the kind of reactions you can't ignore. But intolerance and sensitivities, they're different. They're sneakier, they fly under the radar, and they can start early in newborns, babies, and toddlers. Here's what often happens. When a child eats something their body can't properly process, like dairy, gluten, or soy, it creates inflammation in the gut. That inflammation then causes discomfort, whether it's bloating, reflux, gas, constipation, itchy skin, or tummy aches. And kids are smart. When food makes them feel awful, they stop trusting food. Their brain learns that food equals pain. So what looks like stubbornness is actually self-protection. They're avoiding pain and not being difficult. Some of the signs I see most often that point to food intolerances are tummy aches or bloating after meals, loose stools, we're talking blood or mucus in the stool as well, or constipation, skin issues like eczema, cradle cap, or red cheeks and ears after eating. Dark circles under the eyes are often linked to nutrient deficiencies, and mood swings, irritability, and fussiness are all signs of intolerances. Even reflux or colic in babies or constipation. We've normalized these conditions. You're told to wait or use medication, but it's often one of the first signs that the gut's unhappy and intolerances are at play. And if we don't address it early, fussy eating almost always follows. If this sounds familiar, go back and listen to episode 6. I walk you through exactly how to identify which foods are triggering your child, how to safely eliminate them, and how to rebuild the gut before reintroducing these foods back in successfully. But if you want a quick head start, the most common culprits I see over and over again are dairy and gluten. But nowadays, it could be more things because the gut microbiome has become so eroded. Now, cause number 3 is sensory and oral motor factors. This one's a biggie and it's often overlooked. For some kids, it's not what they're eating that's the problem. It's how it feels, smells, or moves in their mouth. Their nervous system is on high alert, and eating can genuinely feel overwhelming or even scary. Some kids crave only crunchy foods, think crackers or toast, and others only want soft, smooth textures like yogurt, mashed potato, or pouches. Mixed textures like a stir fry or spaghetti bolognese, you can forget. That can literally trigger a gag reflex. And this can happen for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it's pure sensory sensitivity. Other times there's a physical issue like a tongue tie, weak mouth muscles, swollen tonsils, and reflux. And that makes eating really uncomfortable and painful. So if your child gags easily, avoids chewing, refuses mixed textures, or struggles with meats, there's a good chance something deeper is going on. This isn't defiance, it's discomfort, and it's really worth checking it out with your practitioner. Cause number 4 is nutrient deficiencies. When kids aren't getting enough of the nutrients their bodies need, it doesn't just affect their growth, it impacts their mood, their appetite, and even the foods they crave. The most common deficiencies I see in fussy eaters are zinc, iron, and B12. When these are low, everything changes. Food starts to taste bland or metallic. Appetite drops, and so does their energy. They get really tired, and so they start gravitating towards quick, sugary energy hits. The white foods like bread, pasta, sweets, and juices, and processed junk. Let's go through each of these deficiencies so you know what to look out for. So low zinc dulls taste and smell and makes textures feel off and heightens sensory sensitivities. It also weakens the gut lining and the immune system, which is why these kids often get sick more often and become more reactive around food. Now, low iron is another big one. It drains your energy, it flattens appetite, and it increases carb cravings because the body is desperate for fuel. Iron is also vital for brain development, focus, and sleep. So low levels often show up as hyperactivity or poor concentration. And B12, when that's low, kids can seem tired, flat, distracted, or just totally uninterested in food altogether. If you're nodding along to any of these, it's best to work with a naturopath to test for nutrient levels and get the right support. High-quality, practitioner-grade supplements can also be a game changer, especially if you're also improving the food side of things at home. They two work together so well. So those are the 4 most common causes of fussy eating. And here's what's important. It's rarely just one cause. Most kids have a combination, maybe a gut imbalance, a food sensitivity, and a zinc deficiency combined. But here's the good news. The solutions overlap. When we start healing the gut, everything else begins to fall into place. Your child starts absorbing nutrients better, inflammation drops, and those deficiencies begin to correct themselves naturally. When that happens, fussy eating doesn't have to be managed anymore. It simply starts to fade away. Before we get into the strategies, which are brilliant, let's talk briefly about what kids should be eating. First up, forget the outdated food pyramid, the dairy ladder, or those classic dietitian charts that promote breakfast cereals, milk, cheese, and processed carbs, while downplaying the importance of fiber. That approach has led families straight towards chronic health issues and persistent fussy eating. So let's reset that foundation and get clear on the basics. Here are 5 food groups your kids actually need, and most children aren't getting anywhere near enough. Then I'll share how to help even the fussiest eaters start to eat these foods again. Food group number 1. Fiber is the unsung hero of gut health and the most important food group, and ironically, the hardest one to get our kids to eat. That's gut dysbiosis at play. There's nothing coincidental about this. So fiber feeds the good bacteria that regulate mood, appetite, and digestion, and yet only 5% of Australian kids are getting enough. Think fruit, veggies, herbs, spices, nuts, seeds, legumes, and gluten-free whole food carbs like basmati rice, quinoa, buckwheat, millet, lentils, and sweet potato. Anything plant-based. Even good old-fashioned rolled oats are amazing. The less processed, the better. Then we keep the nutrients intact. Food group number 2, we have clean protein. Protein builds everything: growth, neurotransmitters, immune cells, and muscle. Not all protein is created equal. Try to move away from processed meats like ham, sausages, and nuggets. They're loaded with additives and flavors that dull taste buds and make real food taste boring. Instead, choose clean options like eggs, fish, chicken, legumes, lentils, and slow-cooked meats. Also, don't forget organ meats. I know some of you will find that really squeamish, but it's highly nutrient-dense. I recommend organic, and they are good at boosting iron levels really efficiently. And don't forget bone broth. It's soothing, nourishing, incredible for gut repair, and makes everything taste delicious. Okay, food group number 3 are healthy fats. Good fats are vital for brain development, hormones, and mood regulation. Think avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, nuts, and seeds. These fats are anti-inflammatory and help kids feel full, calm, and focused. When we cut fat and replace it with refined carbs, that's when we see the crashes, the cravings, and the meltdowns. Food group number 4 is natural sugars, the right kind. Now, this one surprises a lot of people, but beneficial gut microbes love natural sweetness. There's a reason breast milk is sweet. It helps grow good bacteria and strong babies. Natural sugars from fruit, dates, maple syrup, and raw honey are perfectly fine in moderation. They come with vitamins and phytonutrients that support the immune system. The issue isn't sweetness, it's refined sugar, bleached, stripped of nutrients, and hidden in almost every processed food. That's what drives inflammation and gut imbalances, not your natural sugars. And last food group is number 5, fermented foods. Fermented foods are like a probiotic boost straight from the kitchen. They bring beneficial bacteria that rebalance the microbiome and support your digestion, immunity, and mood. Start small. Things like coconut yogurt, kefir, or even a teaspoon of sauerkraut juice is amazing. When my son was little, I'd give him just a spoonful of sauerkraut juice, and as he grew older, he'd eat it happily. Now I make my own fermented foods, coconut yogurts, apple kefirs, and even probiotic ice blocks, and my kids love them. You have to try it. So that's the 5 food groups that I wanted to share, and you might have noticed I didn't mention dairy. And I know that ruffles feathers. But beyond the toddler years, most kids simply don't need it and they can't digest it. And for most kids I've worked with, it actually creates inflammation. It prevents actual absorption of calcium and develops conditions like eczema, asthma, hay fever, and gut troubles. That said, calcium is vital, but it's more easily absorbed from foods like oranges, leafy greens, almonds, tahini, chia seeds, sesame, sardines, and mineral-rich broths. These sources nourish without inflaming the body. And I can hear you say, yes, that's all well and good, but how do I get my kids to actually eat these? And that's coming up now. So here are my fussy eating strategies. They're called sneak, swap, share, and supplements. So this is the fun part. Let's take the stress out of mealtimes because this doesn't need to be a daily battle. The 4 S's that I've created for fussy eating, they're based around addressing these 4 challenges. They are simple, sneaky, and sustainable, and they actually work. Because the secret isn't shouting louder, it's getting smarter. These are small, doable changes that retrain your child's palate, reshape cravings, heal their gut, correct nutrient deficiencies, and take the fight out of food. So grab a pen and a cuppa because here's where things begin to shift. Strategy 1. Let's begin with the first S, and that's sneak. I'm going to say it. I don't like the advice that says never hide food from your kid or make sure they see every single ingredient you use. I just don't think that's helpful, and it creates so much unnecessary pressure and stress for you. Because if you've lived with fussy eating, you know some days survival is the win. I'm all up for teaching food awareness, but not at the cost of your sanity. When you sneak the goodness in without the fight, everyone wins. You lower stress, which helps digestion, and you're still feeding the good microbes while starving the bad ones, even if your kids have no clue. So yes, sneak those veggies in, get the fiber, the fruit, and the superfoods. Do whatever it takes to sneak it in. Here's how I make it work in real life. So start with your child's favorite meals. Say it's spaghetti bolognese, and what we're going to do is we're going to add more nutrients in there. Do it slowly. My spaghetti bolognese, I've packed in about 10 different types of vegetables in there, whether it's onions, garlic, carrots, celery, asparagus, broccoli, mushrooms, capsicums. I do all of that. You can start small. It might just be blitzing up the tomatoes instead of getting a tin tomato. That way you're getting fresh nutrients into the meal. Things like pancakes. Do your children love pancakes? I have banana buckwheat pancakes. They're gluten-free. And then what I do is I add maple syrup and banana in there, and it becomes highly nutritious that feeds the good bacteria. Things like smoothies are amazing. My smoothies, they contain a whole bunch of different fruit and vegetables, but start small. Make sure that your child enjoys it. So frozen strawberries and banana is enough. Then over time, you can sneak in some cauliflower or some sweet potato or some chia seeds. Brownies are amazing. I sneak in sweet potato and dates, all sorts of things like that, and your kids will never know. So just one little sneak will make a huge difference. Chicken nuggets, just ditch the packets and make your own with chicken, rice crumbs, and herbs. Then there's burgers. I love sneaking in goodness in there. So a bit of onion, a bit of parsley, some carrots, some celery. They're all really helpful. Every little sneak makes a difference. Now onto the super sneaks. These are going to be amazing and you're going to love these. These are superfoods. I try to sneak in as much as possible and the kids have no idea. You can't smell it, you can't see it, you can't taste it. They're genius. Things like dulse flakes. This is an ocean veggie that's 20 times more nutrient dense than kale. Sprinkle just a tiny bit over meals. You can't see it and your kids will have no clue. It's a massive nutritional punch. It's great as well for nutrient deficiencies. Chia seeds, hide them in muffins, porridge, smoothies, or bliss balls for extra fiber and omega-3s. These are tiny but powerful, and they latch onto toxins in the body and safely remove them. And try flaxseed meal. It's perfect in pancakes and meatballs, and it helps keep kids regular. So that's less constipation issues, which also helps fussy eating. Another trick I love, one that takes sneaking to a whole new level, is make your own junk food upgrades. Whip up a homemade Nutella with cacao and roasted hazelnuts, or rich caramel sauce using dates. Even a clean ketchup made from tomato paste, apple cider vinegar, and honey can be a total game changer. Now, here's the trick with fussy eaters because they detect everything. Keep the original containers. There's more because I know how fussy they can be. Start by mixing your homemade version with the store-bought one. Just a small ratio at first of the homemade stuff and then put it back in the container. Slowly increase your version over time. So eventually your kids get used to the homemade versions. It might sound like a lot of effort, but these homemade versions are literally food as medicine. They feed the gut, They balance blood sugars and cut the chemical chaos. And if you need any recipe ideas, I've got free ones on my website, but also check my membership, She Thrives. I've got tons, hundreds of recipes that are brilliant for sneaking in the goodness. And one more tip, it's actually just a suggestion, and you may not even like this one, so don't feel you have to use it. I season my food with good quality sea salt and pepper. Salt is packed with natural minerals, and honestly, it just makes everything taste better. If your child's been eating a lot of processed foods, they're already used to eating a lot of salt, just the wrong kind. So by seasoning your food properly, you're bridging that flavor gap, and it makes real food taste familiar again without the junk. Okay, strategy number 2 is swap. And this one's all about gentle upgrading and transitioning. And you might find this one the quickest strategy you can start with. You don't have to overhaul your pantry overnight. In fact, please don't. This is about progress, not perfection. Small swaps done consistently will completely reshape your child's taste buds and your sanity. Here are some big wins. These are just some ideas, so pick what suits you. And once you get into the gist of things, create your own options to swap. So here's some ideas. Crisps and crackers. Ditch the barbecue flavor, the cheese and the chicken flavored versions. These are loaded with MSG, salt, sugars, and additives. Go for plain salted ones instead. It resets the taste buds, which makes home-cooked food taste better again. Tomato sauce and tin tomatoes. I recommend swapping out tin tomatoes for your own. Literally blitz fresh tomatoes with olive oil and herbs. You avoid the preservatives and you get a richer, fresher flavor packed with fresh nutrients. Cereal. Move away from boxed cereal and even the so-called healthy ones and just try making your homemade granola with oats, coconut oil, cinnamon, and maple syrup. It's crunchy, naturally sweet, and full of fiber. For bread, trade your white sandwich bread for sourdough. It's easier to digest, more filling, and better for the gut. With milk, if you're using cow's milk, try coconut milk or almond milk or oat milk. That will reduce inflammation in the gut. But wait till your child is over 1 if you're unable to breastfeed. Sweeteners. Replace your refined sugar with maple syrup, raw honey, dates, or even mashed banana in baking. The sugars in these feed your good microbes and have antibacterial and antiviral properties, so big win there. Flavored yogurt. Store-bought ones are packed with sugars, thickeners, and heaps of additives and emulsifiers. Instead, just blend frozen strawberries, banana with maple syrup and coconut yogurt. These taste delicious. Or sneak some of this into your store-bought yogurts and then your kids won't know. It's really worth the effort. Another idea is swap packet muesli bars and tiny teddies and other treats for homemade versions. Get kids involved in baking or rolling your bliss balls. It sparks curiosity and builds appetite. They're packed with fiber, protein, and good fats and keep kids calm and satisfied. And whatever you do, don't give up. Keep trying until you find that combo they love. Strategy number 3 is share. And it's one of the most powerful ones. There's no cooking required. So here's the thing. Kids don't copy what we say. They copy what we do. When they see you enjoying food, when they see you laughing and chatting and smelling delicious meals, that's what creates change. So keep sharing foods on the table, even if they get ignored. Don't give up because it can take 10 to 15 exposures before a child even considers it. And that's totally normal. Here are ways to share your food. Share dinners together, even if it's only a couple of nights a week. It makes a huge difference. You're not just sharing food, you're sharing connection. When kids eat with their family, studies show it boosts self-worth and self-esteem. One study from Harvard found that kids who eat regularly with their family are more happier, resilient, and have lower rates of anxiety and depression. That equals better appetite too. Share the space. Have your kids do homework in the kitchen while you're cooking. The smell alone starts that whole digestive process and creates familiarity with food. And share the cooking. Let your child stir, pour, roll, or taste. When kids help prepare food, they're way more likely to eat it. Plus, you're teaching them incredible skills. Another one is share the control. Offer options. Do you want broccoli or carrots tonight? Give your kids small choices because it helps them feel empowered and reduces resistance. Share the shopping and meal planning. Take them to a local farmer's market where there's fresh produce. Let them choose new fruit or a veggie to try and get them away from the supermarkets with all the processed foods. It's a big win and it'll ensure you reduce your meltdowns. Another one is share an experience. Grow something together. Maybe it's herbs or some fruit or veggies. Kids want to eat food they've helped grow. It makes it exciting. Don't try and do all of this. These are just ideas. So just pick the lowest hanging fruit and build from there. Okay, my final strategy is number 4, and that's supplements. And this can be really powerful. I've already touched on supplements earlier, but for fussy eating specifically, this is where I say, don't wait. Start supplementing now, which normally I would never say. I'd say work on your diet first. But if you're already putting in all that effort to change things up on the food front, let's create the perfect environment for success. Everyone's deficiencies are different, but almost every fussy eater I've ever worked with is low in zinc and often needs a good quality probiotic too. There are studies out there that show children with low zinc are twice as likely to be picky eaters compared to those with healthy zinc levels. So if this sounds familiar, don't overthink it. Supplementing now while you line up your practitioner is a great idea. So that's the 4 strategies. These steps are not crash diets. They're gentle, consistent shifts that heal the gut and retrain the palate. Before we wrap up, I just want to share some common pitfalls. These are what I see that sabotage the best intentions and efforts, so don't let them trip you up. Liquid overload. Kids sipping on milk, juices, formula before meal are just not going to help. Next, making separate meals for the kids. This is not healthy long-term. It's a lot of extra work for you and it reinforces picky habits. Do the hard work now to transition into family meals. Next, forcing or bribing doesn't work. When stress hormones kick in, appetite shuts down. The harder you push, the worse it gets. Another one is over-snacking. Grazing all day means no hunger at mealtimes. And another one, last one, is giving up too early. Many kids need 10 to 15 exposures to accept a new food. Now, specifically, if you've got babies and toddlers, all I can say is this. Cook as much as possible from home. As soon as you can, try to avoid those pouches and the rusks and the crackers. And the reason you want to do that is because you want to create natural taste buds. You want to make sure that they don't recognize packets and colorful labels as food. Get them used to the natural flavors, natural textures, because this is a huge win and you will solve so many issues later on in life. So put the effort in now. When my kids were babies, I made everything from scratch. Food was medicine. And you just have to get loads of containers and literally just bulk a dish up, a casserole or a stew, and then just put it in the freezer so that in the mornings, you can actually make food really quickly. You just have to defrost it. I've got strategies as well for older kids. And the best thing that I can share for you, because they're going to do what they want and you don't want to have the battle all the time, is you've got to lead by example. And this is a big win for everyone in the family. The reason being, if you take your diet and your health very seriously and you give yourself a chance to create some healthy habits, you won't be telling your kids what to do. You'll be mentoring them. And that's far more inspirational. So when I have mums come work with me and they want to help their kids thrive that are older and overcome certain health issues, you've just got to let it go. Do what you can, make breakfast and dinner healthy, but then let them do what they need to during the day. And when they start seeing you have your massive health breakthrough, they will be inspired and they are going to follow suit too. It's a brilliant win for everyone. So there you have it. Fussy eating isn't fixed overnight, but it is fixable. Every calm meal, every gentle exposure, and every colorful plate is a step toward healing, not just for your child, but for your whole family. If you'd love some extra support putting what you've learned today together into action with recipes that actually work for fussy kids, meal plans that take the stress out of dinner, and guidance from me and my team of naturopaths and experts, come join us inside my membership, She Thrives. You'll get access to hundreds of delicious gut healing recipes, live workshops, and personalized support to help your child eat, grow, and thrive with confidence. Just head to shethrivesclub.com to learn more. And if this episode spoke to you, please share it, subscribe, or leave a quick review. It helps more mums and kids start thriving too. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me on Heal Your Gut, Heal Your Life. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you're ready to start healing your gut, grab my free gut health guide and recipe book at sharonmselby.com. See you next week.